I think YouTube is genuinely changing my life because I'm just doing stuff that is more exciting. However, this week has not been without its fails. Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. Welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining me on another Saturday update. And there's loads to talk about today is what's been going on in my used car dealership, but also, this is quite compelling. And I'm going to drop and start with this one. I think YouTube is genuinely changing my life. And I'm going to talk you through for why, because we've had a bit of a mad week for it. But as usual, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about cars that we've sold, cars that we've bought, things that have gone well, things that have gone badly, and then any automotive news that I think might be of interest to you. And the story I'm going to tell you about is certainly very interesting. And another massive own goal by a company that I like to rant about on this channel. But we'll go through that in a moment. So let's just start off, first of all, with what's gone well and what cars that we've sold. So we have sold the monster truck. It is now gone. We managed to get the guy across the line on the finance side of things. Not that he needed finance or anything like that, but he just wanted it on this truck. And we managed to get it sourced through a sort of like a broker. And the reason for that is because it's a modified car. It's quite a difficult one to do. And the bloke is absolutely thrilled with it. He came and picked it up on the weekend and he is, job title for you, this bloke's a school teacher. I believe he's a vice principal or a principal, and he's going to be taking that monster truck to school. And you can only imagine the reaction of the children. And also, he didn't tell his wife exactly what he was buying, so he was looking very tentative as he left the dealership at the weekend to drive that home to his missus. But anyway, lovely bloke, very patient. It was a deal that took a while to get across the line, but we bought that car from a subscriber called Gary. Gary, thank you so much. It's gone to a lovely home. And just a nice bit of business all round. Gary happy, Rob happy, customer happy. Nice win, nice car. We have also sold a Range Rover Sport SVR. If you've seen that video, you got to meet my new business partner, Paul, who you can see in this rather flattering image when he bought something from Japan. Anyway, that was a trade-to-trade car, gone through the process and bought through our new car buying site, which I think is now live, and it's called Carmora. Genius, I know. Anyway, that one went through the process. That was good news. We've also sold a Touareg. Now, you don't know about this car, but it came in on part exchange from a lovely guy called Liam who bought another car from us, which was a Passat, which you'll have seen in the video when Tim was doing his polishing. And that car just wasn't for me to retail out of. It was too high mileage, and the interior was, it was like a cream leather and white car. And personally, I wouldn't have had that for myself. Sorry, Liam. Just because of the colour combo. And I tend to buy cars that I know I'd definitely buy and own myself. So that car got traded onto a dealer, funnily enough, down the road from me. Didn't go through the trade-to-trade platform. That was another little car sold. Did we make any money? No, but it's out. That's the main thing. We also sold the Mercedes-Benz C43. We bought this from a subscriber, another subscriber called Gary. Thank you, Gary, who actually sent me a message recently with some kind words. So thank you for that. And it went to a lovely couple called Malcolm and Angela, who we're sort of dealing with over took a little time to get it across the line. But you know when you just meet proper salt of the earth people, just genuinely nice people. So Malcolm's a HGV driver. He's got a long career in kind of the corporate world and all sorts of stuff. We had a really good chat. And then Angela works in care and she's had a bit of a sort of tough back end of last year, so this was very much a treat for them. Both proper petrol heads and just the perfect car for the perfect couple. So nice cars sold last week, nice bit of business. Then we've been struggling to buy as usual. Now, I talked about in the last video, we tried to buy a VW Touareg and unfortunately it fell apart, the deal never went ahead. Well, weirdly enough, after I dropped that video on Saturday, somebody walked in selling a VW Touareg. Now, we didn't manage to buy the car because the guy just wanted a bit too much money for it, but what we're gonna do is sale or return it for him. So it was a bit uncomfortable because there's a lot of stories about sale or return, but from our point of view, the only way he was gonna get that sort of money out of the car is if we didn't have to put our own money into it. So that's gonna be coming in soon. We bought an Audi S4 off a guy, funnily enough, came through Shifting Metals channel through his car buying site, which I'm not going to mention because I've got my own. So Joe got paid out of that deal, but it was a guy called James, who turns out is a subscriber of this channel. So if you'd have just come straight to me, James, we could have cut Joe right out of that deal. Anyway, nice S4, diesel, going to do a bit of a review on that car. We've also got an E53 estate sort of on the boil with another chap called James. Funny enough, there's a lot of pairs of names here. And we've also taken in a Tesla. Now I'm going to be giving you a bit of an update on that car because it's a bit odd. So it's a Tesla Model X and it's a plaid. Now, if you don't know what a plaid is, I didn't because I don't do electric cars. I'm not interested in them. However, there's been a bit of a deal on this one, and it is a really, really unique car. So we're going to do a review on that because headline numbers for you, it's 1,000 horsepower. It's the triple motor Tesla, which I'm starting to learn a little bit about, even though I'm reluctant. It's a left-hand drive, which is really weird, but the plaids only came in a left-hand drive. Weird car. Anyway, it's in, so I'm going to do a bit of a review on that car. And that's pretty much what was going on business-wise with buying and selling. Now, the reason I mentioned YouTube at the start of the video is because last week, I essentially had the entire week out filming. So Alex and I travelled across the country. So we filmed a video on an AC Cobra, which you'll have seen already. That was going to meet John at JC Autosports, just talking about what the plan might be with that car. Now, he's actually due to come in this week. He tried to ring me last night. I'm going to give you a call back, John. Sorry, it's just been chaos. Looking at what the options are with that, because that is... every part of me wants to shove a big fat V8 in it, but when I read the comments on the videos, everyone's kind of saying the same thing, which is listen to the expert and just rebuild the engine that's in there. Anyway, if you don't know about the Cobra stuff, there's a link for one of the videos in the description below. So that was exciting. Then midweek, we went down to Wales. You'll have met my business partner now, this Paul chap, this elusive character. And we went down to drop off this Range Rover SVR, but also to set up a business banking account. And all I had to do as an ex-financial advisor was make sure that I had all of my compliance and identity documents correct, which I did. So I brought with me my passport, my driving license, and also a proof of address. And we sat down in this meeting with this very well-to-do lady called Lisa, who's going to be our new bank manager, trying to propose this business plan to them of 2 car dealers wanting to set up a business, buying and selling cars, but buying them from the public and selling them into the trade, or buying them from the trade and selling them to the trade. And it was hard for this business manager to wrap their head around this because it's a bit of a weird sort of plan from their point of view. And all we had to do was come across as convincing. My passport was out of date, my driving license had the wrong address on it. Unfortunately, my water bill was correct. So, unfortunately, this bank is the closest one up north is in Chester. So I should have done my driving licence, to be fair. That was a bit naughty of me. So I've redone that now. I'm waiting for that to come through. Passport needs sorting out, but I can't afford to go abroad anyway, so that was on the back burner. But I'm unfortunately going to have to go back to bloody Chester and do that meeting again. So that was a bit of a fail that week. We've got a few fails that happened that week. And then the following day, we were down in Warrington, meeting a guy called Martin, who has a supercar dealership. And I'm going to go on to this in some detail on the channel at some point, because I've also got a mate called Lloyd. Now, Lloyd, you're probably going to see on the channel at some point, is a proper petrol head. He used to be a financial advisor, no, still is a financial advisor, and I used to sort of know him through the industry. Both a similar age, both similar sort of mindset when it comes to cars. We love them. Now, Lloyd and I are looking, this sounds really posh, but we're looking for a supercar to buy together, potentially. Now, I wanted to do this on my own, and then I very quickly realised I don't have enough money. But what we're trying to do is find something that is a safe buy with regards to a supercar. And this sounds like, all of a sudden, where's Rob got a load of money from? There's a rationale behind this, because I genuinely think if we buy properly and buy the right thing and run it for a couple of years, I think that if I was to finance my half at, say, 7 to 10%, whatever it might be, I think that we buy the right supercar or performance car of some sort, it might increase in value by more than 7 to 10% a year. And I've kind of got this rationale in my head that we might be able to sort of own a supercar for free. So anyway, that's a plan that we're going on anyway. But this again is all YouTube stuff, and it's I guess I'm quite excited about it because we started this channel a year ago or a year and a half ago, whatever. It's obviously doing surprisingly well, and we're gobsmacked, and really grateful, by the way, for people subscribing and enjoying the content. But it's just allowing me to do more exciting stuff, like the trade-to-trade thing I'm setting up with Paul is kind of come off the back of YouTube, and then this looking at buying a supercar has kind of come off the back of YouTube, and then all these people that we're meeting, the subscribers, cars that we're buying, subscribers that we're selling to. So Malcolm and Angela were subscribers, and it genuinely is changing my life for the better, because I'm just doing stuff that is more exciting and I really enjoy it. So thank you for subscribing and joining on the journey. However, this week has not been without its fails. Obviously, I had a bit of a situation with the passport and everything going down to the bank, which was embarrassing at best. Then we've had a couple of other little bits of fails this week, which you tend to get as a car dealer, and they're as follows. If you have not seen, we had a bit of an issue with a bath that we took in on part exchange. Now this car came in against an M3, bit of a random deal, young lad, and obviously doing very well for himself. He was a student. So you don't ask questions in this game. It's fine, everything was above board, and he bought this BMW M3 and he part exchanged his bath. Now when it came into stock, this car had a bit of a misfire, and I knocked 500 quid off the car and kind of hoping it might be plugs or leads or something like that. We did the plugs, didn't do anything. All the leads looked all right, didn't do anything, and it had this sort of rough idle. And I don't know whether or not I was being really picky, but it was just bugging me to the point that I thought this is going to be a problem for the person that buys it, which in turn is a problem for me. So even if you strip morals out of it, you're going to end up with a headache with this. So we went back and forth, we looked at engine mounts, we looked at, there isn't an Abarth 595 forum that I haven't been on and been dulled to death reading through all of these threads. And there are so many different things that it could be. So the car got picked up by a specialist. We're going to be doing an update on this, and it ended up going down to Huddersfield. A really nice guy called Drew, owns a company, and I will be plugging it when we go down there properly because he absolutely needs a plug on this one. He appears to have fixed the problem, and I'm going to give you a proper update on it, but it is involved ripping the engine out of the car and splitting it in two. So this thing was, I do wonder whether or not the customer might have known that it was a little bit more in depth than we thought it was going to be. Either way, regardless, it looks like that is coming to a head and we might be getting that car back in, which is good news because we're desperate for stock. The bill is going to be more punchy than I thought, and I've got a sneaky feeling we're not going to win by knocking 500 quid off the car. I think it's going to be the wrong way on it. So that was a bit of a fail. Another fail is I missed my haircut because of the chaotic week that I had the week before travelling across the country. And the final fail that we had this week was Bob, this is aimed at you. Bob's the auto electrician who's meant to be fixing the 640, has got to a point with the 640 where we're that close to fixing it. He's gone radio silent. Bob, I'm your most important customer. Come and get it fixed. So we've kind of got all that going in the background as well. So yeah, it's been up and down as usual in the dealership. We've had some good sales done. We've bought some really nice cars. There's a couple bubbling away. There's an RS6 that we're on as well at the moment. The blue RS6 that I've got in stock, which is finally listed for sale, we've had someone get in touch and said, I just want to double check if there are any recalls on the car. Yes, there is. Oh, so we've had to book that into Audi for the oil strainers doing, which I thought had been done on that car by now. So that's going to be a bit of a headache. But all in all, it's been fairly positive, and YouTube has been a massive buzz for us over the last week because we've done loads of filming, loads of content, and I hope you're going to enjoy what is coming your way. Now, automotive news. I'm going to touch on this as I've touched 1,000 times before. Certain company that I hate banging the drum on this one, but AutoTrader, I'm going to go there. They have had a bit of a rough time with their share price at the moment, and it has just dropped below £5 a share. And if you follow the stock market, you'll realise that this is a bit of a moment for them. It was around about £8 a share when we were doing all of when everybody was kicking off with AutoTrader back in November. So it has dropped the thick end of 35 to 40% in 3 or 4 months. So it's not looking good for investors and not looking good for AutoTrader. But look, it is what it is, and I'm not throwing mud, although they still haven't changed the product. We had a car reserved on Deal Builder. Funnily enough, the guy who wanted to ask about the RS6 reserved the car, shown as reserved everywhere. Has it got a recall on it? Double checked. Yes, it has got a recall. Really sorry, mate. There's a few other things we wanted to talk about. But now the car's not advertised for sale and we've got to take... So we had to cancel that deal, and he's did a bit... Anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with AutoTrader. But the reason that they've dropped a ball this week is because on LinkedIn, this guy, Alistair Jackson, who's a senior resourcing advisor for AutoTrader, is showing off their new office. This is a new office that I mentioned a few months ago when we were talking about how much they were charging. It was excessive before all of this kick-off. He's decided to talk about how the new office is vibe, bro. And I believe this was 15 million quid. And let me just show you the photographs. This is a company that is under the cosh at the moment for, some would argue, exploiting dealers with what they're charging, manipulating markets, not giving value for money, heavily increasing the prices every year, and putting car dealers in positions where they are forcing to close their business because of costs everywhere, but also AutoTrader being a big one. And then they post this. This is their new offices. And this is how they get rid of all that money that they take from car dealers. And I just think, I I've thrown a bit of mud at AutoTrader, but I think it's all been fair and justified. I'm not calling people names. I know that people have, they're genuinely nice people who work in there. I've met them. But talk about poor form and bad taste. I mean, look, it's incredible. But talk about getting it wrong. Where is your PR manager? Go on, Bennett. So yeah, that's what's kind of going on in the automotive news within the sort of dealer sector. And I mean, it is all over the place at the moment. People are kicking off all over the place with what they've done there. Anyway, that's where we are at the moment. Good week, all in all. YouTube, fantastic. Our views are doing fairly well. We're doing about 1 million views a month, which is pretty good for long form videos. And we're getting subscribers along the way. So once again, thank you for subscribing. I'll ask you, if you know a friend that might enjoy our videos, send him or her a link. Stop being so selfish, because we're trying to grow this number up to 100,000 and it feels like hard work. So it'd be nice if we've got a bit of a helping hand along the way. Also, final bit of news, I bought a tiny sports and performance car and it is due in this week and I'm going to talk you through that next week. Hope you've enjoyed the update. Thanks again for joining me and I shall see you next week. Cheers.